Hey Delia, what is the first question that most new business buyers ask when they're thinking about buying a business?
Often I hear the question, what's my budget for buying a business? What should my budget be for buying a business? But that is the wrong question.
What do you mean that's the wrong question?
Well, think about it this way. If a doctor walks in and asks you, what medication do you want? You would probably consider that a bad doctor because the doctor needs to run a diagnostic. Without running a diagnostic, the answer they give you is probably unhelpful, problematic. So when it comes to buying a business, your budget is one number, but the full diagnostic is actually what we call the financial architecture. The gap between your budget and your understanding of your financial situation is what opens up really better deals to you. So you have to understand that gap.
Okay, can you break that down? What's the difference?
Think about four people who might be have $60,000. And that's a big number for many people, but let's just assume for the example, different people have 50, $60,000. It's important to know when are you going to need to be paid from the business. If someone can work in the business and have no worry about being paid for 6 months or 12 months, that person can do very different things from the person who needs to get paid right away. Let's assume that one seller has good credit history and one doesn't. Having $60,000 as the two sellers already paints a very different financial picture for the bank. Because if you have $60,000 and you have good credit score, you can probably get an SBA loan. So you can see how the number itself is not enough. It's just a small number in this bigger picture. And understanding your situation, what you bring to the table is going to open up a lot of different doors for you.
Okay, so same money but different options.
That's exactly right. You can have the same amount of money, but different options because your financial picture looks differently. In our community, we talk about four buyer types, and these are based on the financial architecture planning that we talk about. So let's mention really quickly. You have the bootstrapper. That's a person who maybe has up to $75,000 and they don't have the ability to open up SBA loans, credit history, other things. A calculated investor is someone who has maybe the same amount or more, but they have the ability to get SBA loans because of their credit score, and maybe they have other assets that can be used as collateral that also impacts your ability to get a loan. Then there's the growth partner. These people have more assets, they have more money, somewhere around, let's assume 250,000 to $500,000, maybe more, but they also have the ability to structure partnerships. They have a better network. They have access to people who have more money. They can do multi-party deals where different people bring different things to the table. That's a growth buyer. That's what we call a growth buyer. Then there's a capital partner. This is a type of person who has a lot more assets. They're looking at portfolio acquisitions. They're more like an investor. So you can see how all of these people can come to a deal with the same amount of money, let's call it $50,000. But what they have in the background, their picture, financial picture, is going to open up a lot of different doors. When I tried to buy a business, I didn't have any money in my bank account to put towards the business, but I knew someone who could put money towards it, and then I knew someone who can help operate. So it opened up doors, right, that were not available just to me as a solo entrepreneur. So just because you are in one category, one bucket, doesn't mean you cannot do creative deals, you cannot be resourceful.
Yeah. All right, let's say someone watching this is in that bootstrapper category. They've got the $50,000, but they feel locked out of everything that they want to do. How can they unlock that and open up more opportunities?
Yeah, this takes us a little bit into the deal complexity conversations, but something like seller financing or sweat equity opens up the door to more options. A lot of buyers don't realize this, but when a seller is ready to retire and they trust the buyer, you, they will often finance 50 to 80% of the deal themselves. So a $300,000 or a $500,000 business all of a sudden is available. It's in the in the sweet spot for you, and that's open to people who are able to build trust with the seller who is ready to finance. They become the bank, and you pay them monthly.
Yeah, I didn't even know sellers do that, that's a thing.
Yeah,
So that's
it's
crazy.
there are so many ways to buy a business, and I didn't know either. When I started looking at businesses, I thought I had to have $1 million or $2 million to buy a good business. But
No.
a lot of times you just have to find a motivated seller. Someone, let's take the example of a family here locally whose husband, who was the owner, had a health crisis, and they were ready to give the business to someone away if that person was willing to pay them monthly and take care of all the employees and all the payments, the lease, everything else. They were ready to do it. I found out a little bit too late. They already shut down the business by the time I found out. But that is an example where a person is willing to finance. So yeah, these types of deals are available all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. But what about the person like who says, I don't even have the 50,000 or 60,000. I don't even have 30,000 and they just feel hopeless. They're out before they even start. What is there any options left for somebody who has less capital starting? What do they do?
Yes, the answer is always yes, because if you are resourceful, you can always find a deal. Now, that doesn't mean it's easy. Maybe it will take you longer because you have to find another person that has some money. If you have skill sets, you bring it to the table, you find a good deal, it's pretty easy to find the money for it. Like I know it sounds hard to someone who's never done it, but I have tested it many times. And it's very easy for me to walk into a room of people who have money and say, hey, I found this business that's doing $300,000 in profit per year, and I need X amount to raise in order to put down and then maybe get an SBA loan for 80 or 90% of it. And, kind of talk through the process. I've had many people come to me and say, how can I invest? Because I've done it once or twice, and now they trust me and they're willing to invest. So not having the money is not a reason not to look for better deals. That's why it's important to listen to what types of things people have done to unlock these types of deals. Capital alone or having the capital yourself isn't the unlock, right? Sometimes you just need to find the right team.
So as they're looking and trying to figure out the right team, what are some things that they should be asking themselves to kind of figure this out at the beginning?
Yeah, to develop this financial architecture plan picture for yourself, you do need to know how much you can put in without strain, if anything. If you cannot put anything in, that's okay too. You just have to be more resourceful, maybe find people. You might have to talk to more sellers to find someone who wants to finance it. I would spend more time learning how to build trust with sellers if I don't have the capital. So you seek how each problem you have has a solution. You just have to figure out the solution. Another type of question to determine your financial architecture picture is what kind of income do I need from this business that I want to buy? Do I need it from day one? Do I have a runway? Do you have some savings that would allow you to, of course, you want to buy a business that's going to pay you from the first month, but you have to also plan well. And if you have a runway, that can open the door to some interesting deals. So another question is, can I really find a capital partner? Can I have that conversation and communicate in a way that would allow the capital partner to say yes? And that is going to, again, kind of change the financial picture we're talking about. So these are the types of questions you have to ask. What can you put in? When do you need to get paid? Can I get access to other types of capital partners? Maybe not a bank, maybe not an SBA loan, some other type of investor. All of us, I think, know at least one person who has the capital you would need for the deal. The question is, do I feel comfortable having that conversation or not? When I was building our Amazon business, I had someone asking me details about the business, an investor who kept wanting to invest in the business. And I'm pretty sure I lost close to 8 figures, 7 figures, clearly, by not accepting the money. I did not want to accept the money because it was a friend and I felt uncomfortable. Later, I realized this person continued to invest in other things. He lost some money, he made money. That's what an investor is someone who invests money, who understands the risk. But when he was hearing the numbers of how quickly we would get to profit with our brands, he understood that if he invests 100, $200,000, we can build that into a seven-figure brand pretty quickly. It was at the beginning of the Amazon, you know, private label world stage, and getting a product from China, listing it on Amazon was easy. I said no, both of us lost. So you have to also understand yourself a little bit in this process and be able to answer these questions.
Yeah, I love that you always have a workaround. I think so many of us automatically, I mean, this is what I tend to do, disqualify myself based on numbers or whatever, and just always asking more questions to figure out how it can be done. And so the amount of capital that we have is what I'm hearing you say, it doesn't necessarily matter. There's some options out there. It shouldn't be the last question that we're asking, right?
That's totally true. That's the main takeaway from this video. The type of business you buy is not tied to the capital you have. There's always a workaround. That's why you need to spend the time understanding your financial picture, answer the questions we mentioned, and then you're ready to look at businesses.
Yeah. So is there one misconception that you want to just kill today in this video?
Yes, it's not
Right.
true that you don't have enough money to buy a business. You can probably find a business that's fully seller financed. So uh, don't worry about the money you have or you don't have. It's an important part of the conversation. But you are not kept from buying businesses because you have no money. It will take longer for you to find the right business, but the bigger question is, what do you have access to? Who are the types of people you have access to? You don't have to have that money in the bank account. That's what kept me from buying a business. So that's a misconception many new buyers have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks so much. Our next video, we are going to get into the part of acquisition that nobody is talking about. It's the one that's going to predict whether you're going to hate your business in a year.